Well,
So your morning meetings you put on YouTube?
sir.
Your morning meetings you put on YouTube?
Yeah, but they just go to the other facilities, our facilities. So nothing is being done. Nothing is being put out into the world.
Okay.
We have our own Manor network. It goes just to our facilities. So you happen to come up and get in front of the camera, we're not breaching confidentiality because we're just showing you to the other client. But we don't have anybody over here now. Oh, when I used to do it at North, we'd always have one or two ladies who kind of made it from the front.
Can I go up there and say hi?
Well, I wish you would not. I don't. Well, that's what I tell it. Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare people. We're trying to help people. We won't have to scare people. We still got a few minutes.
They might have seen me laying on the couch here.
Well,
And I was not feeling good that day.
That day, you going on.
Had no sleep at the hospital. It hurt me.
that's hard. I've been in the hospital. It's hard for me to sleep. My wife went to.
But I still try to make it improve.
Yeah. My wife went to one of the hospitals over the Methodist hospital. That's a really good hospital. And while she was in there, of course, I'm over there, and they have a room about this size that's set up for the people who are there. If you have a patient there, and you go in there, and they have just a full buffet, a breakfast buffet, and then after breakfast time, they'll have a lunch buffet, and then a supper buffet. And I go, oh my God! Yeah, it's just, of course, you go to those hospitals, and when you get the bill, it's $1 million. But man, that was really nice. When they said, well, you can go home, I said, well, hold up just a minute, dear. I want to run right back down the hallway here a minute. And they had that day when she was leaving, it was lunchtime, they had roast beef. And it was, man, so I need a little something, before I leave. But that was, hospital food is atrocious, terrible. But that hospital, make y'all sick.
I don't even want to know.
I don't either. Mine, of course I have insurance and they take care of all the bad
But don't they say that some places in which it don't really matter right now? It's crap, but don't they say that hospital bills don't affect your credit?
Say again, does it? I don't think hospital bills affect your credit.
That's what I said.
I don't think
But you can't hurt my credit right now.
Well, mine's kind of non-existent because my wife pays all the bills. And so her credit rating is through the roof. She's way up here. They told her that just with her signature, she can get all the credit she wants. But my credit's down here, so they don't pay any of the bills. So I don't have good credit, which is kind of crappy, So she pays all the bills, but she uses my money.
So that's your credit. Y'all got partnership.
Well, you would think, yeah, but they don't seem to look at it like that. I've got 1 minute. 1 minute. So do we have paperwork so that we can do our sign-in sheets?
That's up to the door.
Yeah, that's your sign-in sheet.
Well, good morning. We're gonna get, well, let's not get started yet. We got about 10 seconds. We go by this clock, and I know that it's not the same as everybody else's clock, but you know, it helps us stay on track. We may take some extra breaks and stuff like that. I say that every day, but we don't usually do that. It's cold today.
That's just a part of you telling a lie.
Yeah, that's that thing, man. Telling a lie. Telling a lie. I'm working on that, you know, but I do often relapse on that. So a little bit of housekeeping real quickly. You have to have your book with you. If you don't have your book, we need to get the book. We need to be signing in. Yeah, we're going to start on page 21 real quickly. And we need to be signing in on the correct sheet. And we have people sometimes sign in that's HHSC and then they're on tap, and don't do that, because I do the HHSC and I close that out and then I go to tap, and when I get over there, if your name's on the tap thing, I have to go back and do a specific single thing for you, and that's not good. So don't do that. Don't put your name on the wrong thing. Also, tomorrow is going to be a treat for you guys, because I'm not going to be doing groups on Friday. There is a clinical meeting and training thing that I have to be a part of every Friday going forward. So probably tomorrow here will be Miss Charnel, because she's going to be the only person that's left. Or someone will be doing some type of group tomorrow at 9 o'clock, but it won't be me tomorrow. And I know y'all get all excited about that and everything, but that's all right. You can if you want to, but it'll hurt my feelings. So we're going to do a couple of things today. We're going to finish up. You know, yesterday we started with the addiction. What is addiction? The disease. Concept of addiction. We've got a few more things that we didn't get to yesterday that I think are important, and I want to go over those today real quickly. I'm going to try to get those done fairly quickly, and then we're going to go into a relapse prevention thing. I've got a fairly good relapse prevention program, and I want to just share it with you guys. The first thing we'll be looking at in the relapse prevention, and it's going to be 2 or 3 different things. But today we're going to look at 3 things. Relapse is not only just using, relapse is emotional, mental, and physical. So there are 3 different concepts that we're going to be taking a look at this morning on relapse. I also have a relapse prevention plan that I'm going to hand out to everyone. This is simply meant to get you involved in the process, okay? And we did this over at North. You have some there. We have someone passing those out to you. If you don't have enough of them, I think you do, but if you don't, let the counselor know, or let one of the RAs know, or someone know, and they're going to make whatever amount of copies that you need. And in here, I think we have plenty. How many people we have? 1, 2, you just counted them. How many are there? 12. We should have plenty. I think I have 15. And all these are, the first one says, give us 5 warning signs that I might use. What do I know that's a warning sign for me? And we'll talk about that a little bit as the day goes forward, and you'll be able to, just put that down. The second thing is 5 people that I can call if I'm starting to have a craving or something. Just think about that, 5 people. Now, these people have to be people who make sense. If you say, well, I'm going to call Bubba, when I start craving, I'm going to call Bubba because I know Bubba got a little something. That's not what we're talking about. We want to call our sponsor and 4 other people, right? We want to be doing that. And then 5 things I can do to get my mind off of using. And that's pretty simple stuff. One of them is that you could do like, straight hand here, and you could fall over on your face. And that would, for a moment, you would quit thinking about that. They have the popper. There's all sorts of things that you can do to get your mind off of that. So we're going to hand these out after a while because I don't want them to be a distraction this morning in group. And I'm not saying that you're easily distracted, but, I watch the squirrels come across the thing out here, and I say, "Wow, look at the squirrel!" And I look out here, and everybody in the group's watching the squirrel. I'm trying to figure out how to get the squirrel to teach the group because we do pay a lot of attention to the squirrel. So our goal today is going to be to learn something about relapse prevention. There's a couple of things that we really need to know. We need to know, I believe, what this thing is. What's got us by the yin-yang? What's got us by the short hairs? What's got a hold of us? What's causing us to do things that we know that if we do that, it's going to destroy everything in our life? That makes no sense at all. Makes no sense at all for me to go and use a drug that I know is going to destroy me. It makes no sense at all. But we do it anyway. We do it with alarming regularity. So we need to know what that disease is and what that disease is doing to us. And then we need to, one of the greatest things we need to know is that I need to not use it again. I need to be done. I need to be through. I need to be completed. This needs to be the end of it. We talk about relapse being part of recovery, but relapse is certainly not okay. There's nothing about relapse that is good. Nothing about it. There's nothing about relapse that's good. So while we know that there's a possibility that everyone in this room could relapse tomorrow, it's not a good idea. It's not a good plan. That some people relapse while they're still in treatment. That's why when you go somewhere and you come back, we do a drug test. Does anybody ever come back hot from a drug? Yeah, all the time. I want to get clean and sober, and I want to have a good life. Okay, and then we go out. First thing we do is go to the jitney jungle down there and get a couple of beers. Right? We do that. People do that all the time. We need to get to the place where, hey, look, I've got a real idea that I'm going to stay sober. I don't want to leave from here with the idea in my mind, hey, you know what? Relapse is a part of recovery. Even though that may be true, it's not okay. So we don't want to do it. So our goal is to learn how not to relapse. But before we do all of that stuff, we're going to finish up some of this stuff I still have a lot here, but I'm not going to probably try to get it all done. We're going to go through the important parts of it, the highlights of it, and we're going to go through it pretty quickly. We talked yesterday about genetics. What are genetics?
Family history of soil.
Yes, a family history thing. My genes. If my folks are brown-eyed, am I going to be brown-eyed? More than likely, that gene's going to be in my DNA, and I'm going to have the same color eyes, the same color hair, and stuff like that as one or maybe both of my parents. So one or both of my parents happen to be an addict or an alcoholic, there's a bigger chance that I'm going to become one, right? And we're going to talk about what the size of that is. There are also some other things that some of the environmental things, we talked about that a little bit yesterday, but I want to hit it again. I want to go over it a little bit. Now, we're going to get to our deal here, but we're going to do that right after we finish with this stuff here. So these are some environmental factors that contribute to addiction, and I know y'all probably already know this. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Stress can make us want to get back to the drug because the drug is our coping skill. Trauma, early physical or sexual abuse, that type of trauma can lead us back into use of drugs and alcohol to get rid of the pain, right? To get rid of that painful thought. Another type of trauma, witnessing some type of violence. Family violence is a horrible tragedy that's in a lot of families and can lead us to relapse, right? Peers who use drugs. This is why I always ask. how many people still have friends who use drugs? People raise their hand, you know, excited. I have friends who use drugs. I have friends, and I'm keeping them friends because I'm going to help them get off drugs. And the way I'm going to help them is I'm going to go to their house and use all their drugs so that they don't use. That's about what we do. We keep the friends because we still want to use. I have people tell me all sorts of things. I have people tell me all the time, that's not true. I love them people. I love them people. As soon as they out of drugs, we don't love them quite as much. Look, deep seated, deep down inside, the reason we have those people, reason we still have them part of our lives is because they have the drug. I know that I can get what I need to get. And so that, so we just need to come to the place where we just realize that. We know it's the truth. So peers who use drugs, it's something we need to avoid. And then look, here's a big deal. Drug availability. How many people know that just about anything you want to get is pretty much available here in Beaumont, Texas?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You go right out here on the street corner. I see so many people. I was driving home yesterday from church. Saw the guy in my neighborhood on the bicycle. Is it bad? Is it wrong for a full-grown man, full-grown woman to ride a bicycle? No. It's actually good for you. That's really good exercise. And we've been beating on exercise all day, and that's what we miss going to our page 21, but we're going to get that in a second. And no, it's not a bad thing for people. Full-grown people should be riding bicycles. It's really good for you. Unfortunately, a lot of the times when you see people riding bicycles, they're pedaling dope, not pedaling the bicycle. When we were on Avenue A, we had a guy that would come out there and ride his bicycle up in the parking lot. And I'm watching this guy, and unfortunately, that's what he was doing. He had his little bag of tricks, and he'd pull up in there, at a treatment facility. So, that's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? I'm dealing drugs at a treatment facility. And what that tells me is that there are people at the treatment facility who are customers. Huh? So that's a bad thing. We finally got rid of him. But on page 20, look, on page 21 on our what is it called? Program booklet. We want to look at the last two things because I'm not going to be in here tomorrow, and I don't think we'll look at these. So we're going up through preparing, and at some point in our ability or in our decision to get in better shape, we have to take action, right? You got to do something. You got to start walking. You got to start running. You got to start lifting weights. You got to start doing something. You've already begun taking steps to improve your physical health, but you're not yet practiced constantly or consistently or gained a state of maintenance. So we need to get to the place where we do that every day. I went on vacation. I did a lot of walking on trails and stuff, but I wasn't able to do any workouts or anything. So today I'm going to go. I haven't made it over there, just haven't felt like it, but today I'm going to do it. And then we get to a place of maintenance, and that's a really good place to be. That's where we need to be in our recovery. We need to get it all done. We need to get to a place of maintenance. That means I'm just maintaining what I've got. And so you're pleased with your physical health and ongoing efforts being made to maintain your physical health. So is there anybody here that's completely pleased with your physical health? I'm not quite where I want to be, but I'm going to continue down the road to get there, right? So I'm still working on it, but I'm not quite there yet. So there's some other things that we need to look at. No single factor determines whether a person can become addicted to drugs or will become addicted to drugs. There's not one thing. Wouldn't it be great if there was one thing? If there was this one thing that we could change and it would fix everybody. Wouldn't that be great? That's not going to happen, right? Because there's not one thing. There's a myriad of problems. There's a whole bunch of different things. There's genetics. There's stuff that's happening environmentally, and there's other things. There's trauma. There's this. There's that. And so it is a complicated thing. Genetic factors, we talked about genetics, they account for between 40 and 60%. So that's a bunch. That's a bunch. That's more than half of a person's vulnerability to addiction, including the effects of environment on those factors. So here's the deal. If nobody in your family has ever had any problems with drugs or alcohol, but now suddenly your mom and your dad, they're all using drugs and alcohol, and nobody is not in your genetic makeup and all of that kind of stuff, it may be possible for you to be able to get beyond the environmental jump, right? You may be able to make it anyway. But if you are in that situation and you do have that environment is going to almost make it impossible for you not to become an addict, because your 60% says you're going to do that. And then environmentally stuff comes in and brings another 40% in, and there you go, right? So parents or older family members who abuse alcohol or drugs, this is environmental stuff, or who engage in criminal behavior, increase children's risk of developing their own drug problem. Now, let me tell you something. They say it really nicely here. Let me tell you this. If you smoke, your kids will smoke. If you drink, your kids will drink. If you use drugs, your kids will use drugs. If you beat your spouse, your kids will beat their spouse. You are their primary role model. You are showing them how a man or a woman is supposed to act. You're showing them that. And so they believe that. It's manly or womanly to smoke. And you can tell them 1,000 times this causes cancer. Because look, the government puts it on the side of the cigarettes. It says, plainly, you smoke this, you're going to get lung cancer and die. We smoke them anyway, right? If you go to England, get a pack of cigarettes in England, they have a picture of a black lung on the front of the page, on the front of the package. And it says, if you smoke this, your lungs will look like this, and in a period of time, you're going to die. I found an empty pack in a graveyard in England, and I'm going, okay, how apropos is that? That's fantastic. My wife, she doesn't teach anymore, but she used to teach smoking cessation. She has that pack somewhere, and she used to use that as an example. We look at that stuff, and we do it anyway. So the fact that if we say that, hey, you know what, I'll tell my kids, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to make sure they know it doesn't matter. You can set that kid down and show them and tell them and all of that kind of stuff, but when you light one up, all of that stuff, you just lied to your kid. Well, they wouldn't do it if it wasn't fun. They wouldn't do it if it wasn't cool. They wouldn't do it if it wasn't nice. They wouldn't do it if it wasn't just really cool. Thing. My daddy does that. My mama does that. So, if you don't want them to do it, don't do it. The method of administration is another thing that's going to cause us to get addicted pretty quickly. Smoking a drug or injecting it into our vein increases its addictive potential. Because if you're using it, you're smoking, you're bringing it into your lungs, it's going to get in there and just be more quickly disseminated into your body, and it's going to cause you to become addicted more quickly. And the same thing, if you're shooting it into your vein, it's going to cause you to become addicted more quickly. The earlier you begin, the more likely it is that you will progress to serious abuse. Some people will never develop diabetes because they never go over a certain weight. Much like some people will never become dependent on drugs because they never try drugs. If they did, they would in both cases, right? If you never use the drug, are you going to have a problem with the drug? No, it's impossible. You're not going to have a problem with the drug. If you don't eat the wrong foods, you're probably never going to have diabetes. Now, I will tell you this, that I don't think diabetes has a whole bunch to do with your weight. They're talking about if a person doesn't get over a certain amount of weight, I don't think they know what you're talking about there, because I know people, I'm not all that fat, but I'm diabetic. I know a lot of people are skinny as a rail, but they're diabetic.
I was
Yeah, you know.
almost 800 pounds. I never was diabetic in my whole life.
Yeah, you weighed how much?
I almost, at one point, was almost 800 pounds.
Almost 800 pounds.
Never was diabetic in my life.
But you were fat.
I was
You were
absolute-
fat.
I was obese.
You were obesity fat. You were. I don't want to be embarrassing. I don't want to say anything nasty, but you were a fat man. You were a fat man.
I was fatter than fat. I was so huge, man. I would call the doctors to see if they had chairs like this without the rails.
Yeah.
But I couldn't fit in. And that's the truth.
Well, you know what? We can pick on you a little bit now because you push you big old time up, man, because you've lost a whole
I
bunch
lost
of
2
weight.
people.
Yeah, 2
I'm
people.
217 pounds now.
How much are you?
217.
Yeah, that's nothing compared to what you were. My goodness.
Man,
You know, so
I'm on my last 2.
yeah, push you up. You're doing fantastically, man. I can't imagine that. I got up one time to about 180 pounds, and it was horrible for me. I just was miserable. I had to lose weight. So addiction is a developmental disease. That means that it starts kind of early. Most of us, if we can stay away from drugs and alcohol until we get into our adult years, we won't fool with it because we've suddenly our frontal lobe has become connected to our higher reasoning part of our brain, and we know this is not a good thing to do. It's not good for me to do it, so I need to not do it. Most people, when we first use marijuana, how old do you think people are when they first start using marijuana?
13.
13? Anybody else? 9? How old? 11?
14.
Okay, so 1.5% of the people that have problems with marijuana started before they were 12. And it doesn't say before they were 12. I've seen people on Facebook with the kids still in diapers, letting the kid. Now they caught that person, they went and got him. That's illegal. That's child abuse. Between 67% of people who began using between 12 and 17. So most people said 12. So young adults between 18 and 25 started when they were, about 26% of people started when they were between the ages of 18 and 25. I started using marijuana when I was about 24. So I fit in that. It was a military thing. You know, I was wanting to use something. And alcohol was my drug of choice, but it's hard to drink a whole bunch of alcohol and be a military policeman. They don't like that. So you start on marijuana because you figure out they ain't gonna be able to notice it as badly. But you know what? They do. When they say, "All right, give us your report," and you go, "What report, man?" All right, something here ain't right. Okay. Adults above 25, there's about 5.5% of people who are problematic marijuana users have started after 25. Why do you think that is?
Brain receptors.
Your brain has connected your frontal lobe. Now, your frontal lobe is your reasoning part of your brain. It's the place where you have your brakes. It's the place where you stop. It's the place where it says, "That's stupid, don't do that." It's the place where it says, "Look, that guy is 9 times bigger than you, don't slap him." It's the one that says, "Hey, the speed limit is 75 in Vider. Go 75. Don't go 80, go 75. Because they're going to get you if you go 80, right? So all of that connects together. It's also the part of your brain that says using drugs is not good. Using alcohol or drugs is probably not a really good idea because it's going to mess up your life. You can get addicted to it, and you can do all of these kinds of things, so it's probably not good. So usually, if you've made it to 25, in guys, between about 24 and 27 is when your frontal lobe connects. In ladies, it's between 17 and about 23. That's why we say that ladies mature quicker than guys. Because their frontal lobe, they do. Their frontal lobe connects quicker than our frontal lobe as men do, and so they're quicker to understand that drugs and alcohol and all of these things are not a good plan. So we need to stop all that. So, does drug abuse cause mental disorders, or vice versa?
It helps.
Sometimes mental disorders
Yeah.
can make people use, but use can also cause mental disorders.
Yeah, it says does drug abuse cause mental disorders, or vice versa? Is it the other way around? Does mental disorders cause drug abuse?
Depends on the person.
Yeah. Hey, y'all know what codependency is, right? Not codependency. I can't think of the word now. Code something else. We'll figure it out in a minute. Drug abuse and mental disorders a lot of the times coexist, right? And we have people who have a mental disorder and have an addiction to some type of drug, and that's what we have to have if we're going to have a codependent thing. It has to be that. In some cases, mental diseases may precede addiction. In other cases, drug abuse may trigger or exacerbate mental disorder. What's the word exacerbate mean?
Intensify or amplify.
Yeah, make it worse. It makes it worse. So if I have schizophrenia, or if I have bipolarism or something like that, the use of drugs sometimes can just make that worse. Sometimes we use the drug to make it better. Sometimes it makes it worse, particularly in individuals with specific vulnerabilities. Now, this is a big number, but 50 to 70% of all clients who come through here have some type of mental disorder. That's a bunch of folk. That's a bunch of people. So we need to work on those things. All right, so there's some things really quickly we're going to look at really quickly. I don't want to look at all of this. I don't want to look at that. This is just stuff. And it says for educational use only. What that means is that's for the counselor to read up. So it's a biobehavioral disorder. What's biobehavioral?
Family.
Family can be in the family. Bio means my right. Bio means my body, and behavioral means what? The way I act. Yeah, behavioral. It's behavior. How I act. Biobehavioral. It means my body. I'm doing something in my body, and I'm doing some stuff. I'm acting out. I'm doing things. So we need to treat the whole person when we're treating this. Some of the times we can treat it pharmacologically, and pharmacologically means that I'm just going to give you some drug. Is that appropriate?
No, not all the time.
Not all the time, but there are some times we need to have a drug to help us get past some of the stuff. Right? We do. When we're in detox, we may need to use a little bit. If we're in opiate detox, we may need to use a little Suboxone, a little methadone, something like that to get us through some of those things. Sometimes we need to use some drugs to keep us lined out. If we have schizophrenia, there are drugs that we use to help in that. If we have bipolarism, same thing. There are some drugs out there that we use or doctors use to keep that done. Right. There are medical services we can go somewhere to, and sometimes we have people that go to the Baptist behavioral place, and we just stay there a few days, because when you go to the hospital, where do they send us? No, they're going to send us to the mental ward, because what we have is a mental disorder. If we only have, now if we don't have any of the other stuff, and all we have is addiction, it's still a mental disorder. So when we go to the doctor, we go to the hospital, they're going to treat it like a mental disorder, because that's what it is. I've had folks come back from the hospital totally ticked off. They put me in the nut ward. Look, it's because this is in the DSM-5. as a mental disorder.
I might need to tell St. Elizabeth that because I've been there twice.
Well, St. Elizabeth does not have a mental ward. Baptist has a mental. That's why we send people there. There are behavioral therapies. There's talk therapy like we do in here. There's social services and stuff like that. Some of the things that we need to look at when we're looking for treatment is a lot of substance dependent individuals have some things going on like this, low impulse control. Why do you think when you go to the store, they have the lottery tickets up on the front right there where you can see them? Yeah, impulse. And they're in so many different colors that speaks to your impulse. And so we have low impulse control. I go to the store over here sometimes and they have some little model cars and stuff sitting down on there. Well, $30, $40 for that stuff, but it's in that impulse control place. I went to Market Basket right over here the other day, bought a piece of fruit that I had to throw away. It was some kind of weird fruit. I said, well, I'm going to try that. It's not good. I don't get it. But they have when you go and you pay for your whatever you get, they have a candy bar right there, and it's a pretty thick candy bar, pretty good sized candy bar. It was $20 for that candy bar. Oh wow, $20 for that. And I told the lady, I said, "Look, you selling a candy bar here for $20?" She said, "Well, I hear it's pretty good." I said, it would have to be pretty good. Yeah. I'm not doing that. Yeah, but for $20, I'll make you a candy bar.
You talking about the lottery tickets makes me think of the coolers with the iced down beer right at the checkout in stores,
Exactly. All that is about our low impulse control. We have low tolerance for frustration. I have people get frustrated with me all the time because we have a low tolerance for frustration. I had a young man get frustrated last night at church. He's a young minister. He started preaching, and he's on a scale to 1 to 10 as being able to deliver the word of God. He's about a 2. And we had a young man get up last night who is he's an addict, and he spent 15 years in prison, and he's tattooed from one end to the other. The whole face is all tattooed up, all of this kind of stuff. But God called him to preach, so he got up last night, and he did about a 35, 40-minute sermon and was good. Now, he wasn't perfect, first time, but he did well. And this other guy got frustrated because he can't do that. He's preached 4 or 5 times, and he's outside in his car after church is over. We're talking about leaving the church and all of this kind of stuff. And I finally, I get frustrated as well. I finally had to tell him, that's your choice. Go on, Bubba. Pack your ditty bag. Yeah. It ain't like, if you can't take that, somebody being a little bit better than you, well, there's so many better preachers than me. If I went by that, I'd have quit doing this stuff, 50 years ago. So,
sometimes God don't. We all not.
This
called,
is true.
We're not all called to be people.
Right. Sometimes
it's just like us.
Right.
Like we not all of us can do girls.
Exactly right.
When God calls, He might call somebody, but sometimes we want to be a pastor, but God don't call us to be a pastor.
Right. And that's true. People see people up on the stage and having a good time, and people, giving them honor and all of that. They want to do that, and it's an honorable profession. Come on, if God's called you, we'll give you a spot, but not everybody is. And I've had people, come and tell me, well, I want to sing, man, I'm ready. And then when they get up there, they prove to God and us and everybody in the world that ain't their calling. That's bad. And then you have to tell people, that's hard when you have to tell somebody that's not your calling. So we have a high likelihood of psychiatric complications like paranoia, delusions, agitated depression, stuff like that going on. High risk for explosive, violent behavior. Some people do have that high risk. If somebody comes in here and it seems like they have that kind of risk and stuff, we go to the office in here and talk to them for a few minutes because I'm not about that. We don't need any. We all have to be safe here, right? We all have to feel safe, right? And not only do I want us to feel safe, I want us to be safe. And some of you were here. We had a guy go through here. Mr. Gold was here and did some crazy stuff in here, just slamming doors and screaming and yelling and cussing at everybody. And we didn't put up with that very long. You can't. You can't. So, but some of us have that explosive behavior, and we demonstrate that, and we didn't know that. High risk, we have a high risk for depression and high risk of suicide. Right? So, because of the disease that we labor under, we have this going on for sometimes we have very strong craving. You know what happened to me yesterday? Y'all know I'm in recovery from lying. Thank you, Mr. Gold. I'm in recovery from sugar, right? I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol. I'm doing pretty well with the drugs and alcohol, but stuff keeps happening because I can stay away from that stuff. There's not a whole lot of it around here, but I came in here yesterday from somewhere. I came back from somewhere, and one of the counselors was sitting outside, and the chef here had given her a chunk of pie. It's in there. I saw it early this morning. It's in there. And it looked like a pecan pie covered in caramel or something.
It was a sugar cake.
It was a sugar cake?
Yeah.
Y'all tried, was it any good?
That would have put you in coma, Dr. Chief.
What was it?
That would have put you in coma.
It would, yeah. And she had it out there though, and she's poking on it. And I'm going, oh my God, I gotta have that. I've got to have that. So I went over and told her. I said, he's fattening you up. Q's fattening you. He's gonna cook you for Thanksgiving, and But I tell you what, I haven't touched it. I'm not. I went by and looked at it, and I'm going, oh my God, that look, and it looks like just like you said, a sugar cake, and that's what I want.
It's sweet.
Oh yeah. So we have.
But I have not been a diabetic in my life, but my sugar went up yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, yes sir.
Well, I tell you what, I went by there and looked at it. My sugar went up. I don't have to eat it. I just have to look at it and think about it. So we also have some cognitive memory impairment. As you get older, people say, well, you're going to have some cognitive and some memory impairment. Well, I don't believe that. I stand against that in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's not true. I'm just, some of this stuff people won't tell. They'll come and tell you, this is going to happen to you. No, it's not. I have people tell me, you cannot quit using, but then I don't believe that. A lot of these things people want you to believe. If you make up your mind and you turn your life over to the Lord Jesus, the Bible tells us I can do all things through Christ. I can do all things. I don't look. Here's the deal. I don't have to use. I don't have to use drugs and alcohol. I don't have to use sugar. I don't have to use. I don't have to lie. I do lie. I'm working on it. But I don't, and the reason I lie, I'll tell you what the big reason I lie is because I'm a people pleaser. I want to make you feel good about you, and I want you to like me. I'm getting to the place where I don't really care if you feel good about yourself, and I don't care if you like me or not. I'm going to tell you the truth. And that's been a little bit hard for me because my whole life I've been this people pleaser, and I want you to leave from the encounter with me just feeling good about yourself. But you know what? If you don't have any reason to feel good about yourself, I'm going to let you know that too now. So, I may have to do some other stuff. And most of the time, if we have an addiction issue, we have a brief attention span. And my goodness, is that true?
Yes.
I've had to get to the place where that does not frustrate me.
Yeah, sometimes you have to walk away and talk to someone out.
You do, and sometimes you have to let it slide. You have to just let it slide. You know, because I have I study and I get all the stuff together and all of that stuff for a group. I come in here and yeah, you know, we got a squirrel again. That squirrel will come by, boom. Yeah, God forbid somebody ride by on one of them bicycles, you know, or a girl come through here. And everything, you know, that attention span is gone. Yeah, there's just not a thing I can do about that. So sometimes I get frustrated about the brief attention span that we all have. So biopsychosocial, and they spelled that wrong. That's all right. Biopsychosocial treatment. Um, there and biopsychosocial. What does that mean?
Bio, body,
Yeah.
psycho, and erotic, social.
Brain.
Okay. So I'm putting it all together, kind of synthesis. So it's
body, brain, and people.
That's it.
Yeah, body, brain, and social people. Body, brain, and people. So this disease we have is biosocial psycho. So what that means is that, look, biopsychosocial, I said it backwards. But that means it's going to affect my body. Any kind of drug that you put into your body affects your body. I put a whole handful of drugs in my body this morning. I took a shot this morning, and that affects my body. And you know, it's always going to do that. So biologically treated, we need we have a lot of stuff we can do with the biological part of it, which is like medical detox. There are some anti-craving medications out there. What are those? Buprenorphine, methadone, Suboxone. I used to treat people with Suboxone all the time. Love that drug. We start them off at 5 milligrams, and by a week later, we got them down to 0 milligrams, and they're off of opiates. Methadone is harder. Methadone, you know, you can get people off of methadone, but it takes a long time. That drug takes a long time. It takes us months and months to get you off of that. But so treatment for comorbid medical and psychiatric disorders. Comorbid, that means you have them both at the same time. And so there's psychological treatment. This was all physical treatment, biological treatment. That's physical stuff, the stuff that I can do to make me not hurt so bad. And psychological treatment, motivational counseling. You know, when you go and talk to your counselor, they've learned CBT and stuff like that, and motivational counseling techniques. And you probably won't recognize it, but they're using these things that they were taught in college to help you to bring out stuff that they need so that they can treat you. So that's that type of counseling. CBT, intensive outpatient treatment. Anybody ever been through that?
Like with the alcohol addiction.
Yeah, you go to IOP.
You like that drug court?
Drug court is no, but drug court a lot of times will send you to IOP or SOP.
Yeah.
IOP is 3 times a week, 3 hours a day for 3 times a week, and it's like for 90 days. Pretty intensive. And then SOP is 2 days a week for 120 days. You go longer, but you go less during the week. Then there's psychoeducation. That's what we do in here. It's the psychoeducation. So we're learning about all of the kind of stuff. And then there's family therapy, which is a good idea. And then social treatment. What's a good social treatment?
Conversating with peers.
Yeah, conversating with your peers and stuff like that. AA is a really good social, treatment. I like AA for several different reasons. It's free. That's a big reason. You know, we take up an offering, and the saying is, if you've got $1, give $1. You know, but you can say that another. If you don't have $1, you don't have to give $1. You know, if you got a quarter, give a quarter. If you want to give $100, give $100. You know, $10 seems to be a good level thing for me. You know, $10 bill. Go put it in your pocket and go there with the idea that that's going in there. Because I give a lot of money other places. You know, so there's smart recovery. there's sober housing, and there's drug court. All of these places we can go to get some social stuff going. So what does work? What works?
Us, because we put it all together. Whatever we decide to do.
Yeah, most everything will work if we work it. It's just like losing weight. You know, I mean, you can speak to that. All of those weight loss programs, every one of them. We've got one in our church called Southern Ladies, and it's a bunch of ladies who need the motivation to lose weight. And we had the leader of that group used to come to our Wednesday night meetings, but she quit coming because Thursday morning is when they're there over there meeting right now, and Thursday morning is when they do their weigh-in, and we have donuts on Wednesday night. She couldn't resist the donuts on Wednesday night, which would mess up her weigh-in on the next morning. So we need to treat all of these programs with the respect, because all of them will work. Listen to the things, listen to what's going on. We need to know that, we're going to do that. But one of the big things, why do we drug test in here? Yeah, that's a point, but it goes beyond that.
Keep us on track. Keep us mindful that, hey, there's consequences to our actions.
It's a motivational thing, yeah. This is going to help. I mean, we're not doing it to be mean. How many people do we kick out when you come in here and you've relapsed? We don't do that. We don't do that. There are consequences. There are deep consequences. You don't just go out and get drunk, go out and get high, go out, shoot up, and come back off in here and nothing happened. Sometimes it appears like that, but let me assure you, that person, it has consequences put in their life. But it is there for a motivational thing. I know that if I use, this is going to happen. So, we must be held accountable, have to face consequences for our actions. All right, now let me share this with you, and then because we're going to move into our next program of relapse prevention. This is the most important thing that we do. We get in here, we can get sober, we can get clean, and then we go out and we get hit with the same stuff. That's why we tell you stay away from old people, places, and things. How possible is that to do?
It's hard, but it's possible.
It is possible. Yeah, it is possible, but it is also pretty hard sometimes. There are people that just don't have any other place to go. But back to Mama's house, and I don't know Mama, so I ain't picking on your Mama, but, sometimes Mama's a crackhead. Sometimes Mama's an alcoholic. Sometimes Daddy is using. Sometimes, it's not a safe place for me to be. Sometimes, I need to be as far from there as I can be. But sometimes I don't have any choice. I worked at the prison for 16 and a half years. And one of the worst things we would do out there is when somebody got out of prison, they were required to go back to the same county that they fell out of. If you came out of Chambers County, when you got out, you went back to Chambers County because we didn't want you in any other county. No other county wants you. So we can't send you to another county because they won't accept you. We got enough of those kind of people, what they would tell us, in our own county. We don't need another county's problem. So, okay. Well, what that does is set me up for relapse, right? Yeah. Sets me up for failure every time.
Right back to the same thing we left and trying to run.
Exactly. So, how many people do you think, on a percentage basis, how many people are going to relapse after they get out of here?
70%.
70%. My God. Anybody else have a different number?
I say 2%.
2%? Okay, well, that's another number. What was
I say 50.
50%. Okay. Actually, statistics show us that about 60% of people who successfully complete treatment. Now that means you successfully complete. Does everybody successfully complete treatment? No. We just had a few people leave from here that the counselor, when they came and told me, they said, okay, I need you to sign off on this because we're declaring him unsuccessful. What? How can you be unsuccessful? Been here for 45 days. Didn't do his treatment plan. All right. Didn't work his treatment plan. Oh. Didn't share in process group at all. Okay. Was late for group every time groups. Went to sleep in group all the time. Was sleeping in group. Okay. All right. So was a person that was doing all of that stuff, you think that they were successful? No. No. Not successful. If you don't do the program and you sleep in group, and, you're not successful. So a lot of the people are not successful, but people who are successful, who have done their level best, they have done all of the treatment plans, they've done all of the processing and process group, they've been active in this group, they stayed engaged, they've done all those, 60% of those people. Really. We're not even talking about the people who were not successful, who left early, who relapsed while they were still here, who paid absolutely no attention. We're not talking about those people at all. They're just throwaway on the side over there. They go out and relapse, and we don't count them. We should, but we don't. We're talking about the people who did very well. While I was at the prison, we did a therapeutic community. Y'all know what that is? We had some guys out there that one of the guys was the house coordinator, the top dude. Out there, the clients run the program, and we're just role models. But this one guy was the house coordinator, the highest ranking person you could be, and he was great. He was fantastic. He did a magnificent job. He was wonderful. And then he got out of there, we're all feeling sorry for him. We rocked him out of there. We loved on him. We gave him his certificate. And we did all kinds of stuff. And then he walked out of that place. He went to Port Arthur, Texas. He was in Port Arthur, Texas for one solid week. He got high. He got drunk. He killed two old ladies. Broke into their house to get them and killed two old ladies. And we're sitting over there, in the Monday morning meeting. And the director of the program, I was the associate director, the director of the program came in and let us know that news, and we're all shocked. And then we started looking, and statistically, those guys who were the top of the house were the ones who were usually the ones who failed when they got out. Why is that? Most of them had figured out how to play the game. Well, most of them have done what they needed to do to get by, So, anyway, one of the biggest things we don't want to do when we get out of here is to relapse. 60% of successfully completed treatment will relapse within the first year of leaving the facility. Is it a good thing that you made it a year?
Yeah.
Good. It's a good thing that you made it a year, so what happens when you relapse?
It's all on the ways. It's all gone.
Well, it can be. It can be. But here's the thing, like we talk about relapse, relapse is a horrible, terrible, nasty thing. But when I relapse, if I relapse, I'm going to get myself back up the next morning, and I'm going to start myself back off again. I've been sober for a couple minutes. And look, I don't expect a relapse in my future. But I will tell you this, I am smart enough to realize that there may be one. And if that thing happens, I also know what's going to happen. Because when I get up the next morning, I'm not going to continue back down that path. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to my group, say, hey, guess what happened to me last night? Yeah? I'm going to come out here and I'm going to go to Mr. Farmer's office and say, hey, he's in recovery. He knows, hey, you know what, dude? If you can't smell it, it's because I've, brushed my teeth. But, last night this happened to me. I'm gonna shout it from the rooftop. I'm gonna let everybody know I relapsed. I need to get back on track. I need some help. Because right now, since I relapsed, I have this super duper deep seated craving to do some more. Right? So that's what relapse does to you. It wakes up what's that stuff in the middle of your brain?
system, morphine?
Well, your limbic system has a lot to do with it, but there is a enzyme, and it's called tetrahydrosequinoline. We call it THIG. We call it THIG, THIQ, because tetrahydrosequinoline is kind of hard to say. But when you drink alcohol, your body will build microscopic little pieces of tetrahydrosequinoline and hide it in the middle of your brain. When you use drugs, heroin, methamphetamines, cocaine, all of that, tetrahydrosequinoline rides in with the drug. And so it goes, when it gets into your body, it goes up there and it hides in your brain. The tetrahydrosequinoline hides in your brain. It goes when you stop using, it goes to sleep. It doesn't die. It doesn't leave. You can't pee it out, poop it out. It's just going to be there. It just hangs out in your brain. And then 10 years later, 15 years later, 35 years later, you go have a nice cold beer. Guess what happens? The tetrahydrosequinoline wakes up. And you're at the same level of addiction you were when you quit. And so that's why it's imperative you don't drink anything. Like the lady asked me month and a half ago, over at North, just how many years do I have to stay sober before I can drink again? I don't know. I don't know how many years you want to stay alive. You don't have to go down to the little, over there at North, you can walk about a block and there's a store. Go get you something to drink. Yeah, because it's the same today as it's going to be. Hey, Miss Charnel, we're gonna stop early so you can do what you were talking about. So that'd be about right now. So 60%. What is the leading cause of relapse? It's just like the leading cause of divorce. What's the leading cause of divorce?
Stress.
What?
Stress.
No. Marriage.
Communication.
Marriage is the leading cause of divorce. But the leading cause for relapse is failure to follow the prescribed continuing care plan set up at discharge. When you leave here, you're going to get that lady there or the other counseling lady is going to give you a discharge plan. And if you follow that discharge plan, you have a really good chance of not relapsing. Okay? But if you don't follow that discharge plan, you're almost guaranteed to relapse.
It's sort of like the plan when I had my surgery. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it's a life plan.
Yeah.
So like when I was heavier, I
Right.
was doing all the things that would keep me heavier.
But
Now that I had the surgery, which was helping, like this is helping. When we leave out, the same plan I have while I'm here with the eating is similar to the plan I should have when I leave out.
Absolutely.
So it's a lifestyle for the rest of your life.
Right. And that's the thing. It's just not. Because there's the difference between sobriety and recovery. Sobriety means I'm sober today. Everybody's been in sobriety for a few minutes. But being in recovery means I've changed my lifestyle. Everything has changed.
I was afraid to eat different things after my surgery because I didn't want to be fat. But my wife would be, you don't eat or anything. She would always like me. I said, because one, I can't eat a lot because my stomach is the size. Plus, I'm afraid of getting fat again.
Right. And you can't. So we're going to quit just a little bit early because we have someone who is leaving today, and we're going to love on that person for just a few minutes. So North, take a 20-minute break. We'll be back at 15 after, and we'll see you then. All right, it's yours.
All right.
So it's that time.
Casey, you get to start. Okay. So I always tell people that are, getting out of treatment, stay on that. It's going to be difficult, but you can do it. Made it through treatment, and this is just the next chapter, right? I want you steadfast. I want you to firm. I want you to protect your recovery. So go out there and be the person.
Thank you.
My prayer for you, sir, is that God makes it so that your drug of choice gives you long pulsating hemorrhoids. And so that whenever you think about that drug, you're going to think about the other stuff, and it's going to be terribly, completely uncomfortable for you. You know, I will tell you this, I would prefer you to have big, pulsating, bleeding, terrible hemorrhoids than I wish you go back on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's like, you're going to do well. Look, I'm going to tell you something. You don't know it. These guys don't tell you this. You're brilliant. You're brilliant. You don't have to do the goofy stupid stuff. You don't have to do this stuff. Right? You don't have to go back out. But we would love to see you come in here, a counselor come in here, a presenter come in here. We don't want to see you back at work. Do your work when you got it. No,
Everybody else goes
I mean, you're the last one.
Yeah, she's special.
Ed.
I wouldn't push it.
I got
Right.
it.
Terry, man, I just, once you go out there and do what you gotta do, you know what I mean? Go to Victoria House, it's real strict over there. Over there, just go over there, stay on top of your game, and know what to do, man. Just get out there and do it.
Yeah, I didn't know you were alone. Seemed like real good. Nothing best for you. I know you can do it.
Right, because Terry, remember I talked the good, the bad, and the always be true.
Yeah.
Tell us to keep in mind what you like is what you like. No one else can do this except you. Know and keep your head steady focused. Never give up. Always reflecting. Always reflecting upon see. Always reflecting upon your always reflecting upon your a work in progress, a daily basis that you got this just as God, your Lord and Savior has you. When things get rough, when tough times get on. Never look back. Just continue continue to look and focus on what's ahead, which is your future. Continue using your coping skills for life. Amen. Blessing upon blessing to you. Right.
Thank you, man.
Man, like I said yesterday, I appreciate you, all the talks you had, all the advice you given me. And I love you, man. Keep that grandbaby in mind.
Yeah,
You're out there, man.
Yeah.
But you're gonna be alright. Don't do this shit.
Jerry asked. I mean, you got the same VOC.
Yeah.
That was some awesome.
Yeah. Huh.
You know, it's all right.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Hey, Terry. When I first got here, I was like, what the fuck, around much flack. You know? But you know what? I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Because you still do take the time to connect with me. You know what I mean? Say, hey, how's it going? And how you help me along. You didn't find help for cereal. You help me. You know what I mean? It's like you're a service person. Your active love is service work. I appreciate that. You're gonna do all right, man. All right.
So,
I did the word on it. It'd get hard for you, because you go to a tribute to an issue.
Yeah.
First thing I want you to do is stop praying.
sir.
Saying you can call for pray you out. Stop praying. That's rebuke temptation.
Thank
The words that you got. Okay, my brother.
when we talked yesterday, I want you to make a promise. Gave you my number.
Yep.
And you know I'm still in here. Need to talk, call that number. They let me check my phone here and there periodically.
Yep.
I ask them to reach out. Need anything, reach out.
Yep.
Call, get a sponsor, call. Just make me that promise.
Yep.
And I want to tell you, you're an amazing person.
Appreciate it.
I enjoy talking with you. And I want you to remember, luck is not luck.
No, exactly.
There's no luck in you. You got this. Walk it, do it. And you remember, they're here, we're here, and we love you. You got it.
Appreciate
it. Big Terry, congratulations. You're the best. Stay with yourself.
Check. Man, you just like go ask on that. But said, like, as soon as I got here, you was always like, help, like, hey, you need this, I got to do this. Then, like, put me on game stuff and like how to get, like, so, whatever the case may be. Like, and I appreciate it. So, and I like you a lot, bro. And I'm gonna put up patience. I'm gonna put up prosperity. Prosperity, man. Things going on with your Twitter, whatever. Money, right? And commitment. Shane does.
Oh, Gary, and you came from the bottom. You've been there, done it. You put God in the rock, that way we lean on Him.
Sir.
And we'll put the ball in this rock too, because the ball ain't in our head no more than you get yours.
Sir.
Every time you think about something, you pull this rock out, think about us.
Yep.
I got tears of joy.
Whoa. Slow down.
Does Mark got
Mr.
anything?
Washington, would you like to say something here? Would you like to put some encouragement in his book?
All right.
Like roughly the doctor said, I think I heard this case maybe 7 minutes.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. On that very end. Give yourself 8 minutes. If there's a woman involved, yourself 30 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Long minute.
Exactly.
Yourself 30 minutes. Is she working? What side of you push? So that side of you wants you to be wounded. That side of you wants you to come back to the most form of humanity that you first got here. That's what that person is. Terry that's standing there right now has to be stronger than that person.
Hey, I said I wasn't gonna cry, but Harry, I remember when you first came in, I'm pretty sure you looked at me and went, this little white girl ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing about me because she don't know nothing. And then I opened my mouth. And we had many great sessions. I'm putting discernment in here. We talked about it earlier. Knowing if you feel a stirring in your heart, that means you don't belong there. That's God telling you who you're supposed to be around, what places you're supposed to be in. I feel in my heart you're going to be an amazing grandfather to that little girl when she gets here. That was part of mine. That was part of my story. know, I got clean for myself, but I stay clean for him. And you're going to make it. And we just love you and so proud of you. And this is yours. And this is yours.
All my brothers, man, I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can do it, man. Stay strong. You know what I'm saying? And go out and lead y'all, man. Everybody in here deserves to have a little. So you constantly say, listen, you know what I'm saying? And you try to work the program. Get what you got to get and go back to your family. Y'all deserve a good life. You know what I'm saying? The drugs and alcohol, it ain't what it is. And I know we all got problems, but everybody in here deserves a good life. I came here, this woman here took me on her wing and showed me everything I needed. Without her, the counselors and Mr. D, I wouldn't have made it, man. Besides y'all, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going in this world, and I'm going to do what I got to do.
Throw touchdowns.
I deserve to have a good life.
Throw touchdowns, man.
All the time.
Got that.
So, people right here, man, do the action, but they ain't your call, you know what I'm saying? So, if y'all want to have a good life, man, work the program and do the best y'all can. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in here deserves it. They gave me a testimony and stuff like that. That means something. Because if they can do it, I know I can. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all I got. I love y'all, man. All right.
Go ahead, take a break. You can get that 25. Go ahead, let me tell you something. You lose that off, know
Yeah.
Man, I promise. I've been trying to hold back tears. Remember, I got tears, daughter. But you should. Oh, you know, all right. Well, I had to cry again.
Me too.
I couldn't help it. Oh, man, I just couldn't help it. I got tears of joy, though. Tears of joy.
Remember what I told Daryl? Make sure it's the only white rug in my It's stupid. That's all that.
I can't be honest. That's true. Such a cry.
Try yourself, G.
Hello, ladies. We're not back yet. We had a graduation here at South, and it took a few minutes, so we're going to start back up at 25 after. So I do apologize. I know y'all went in, went out, back in, and so now, but you have another few minutes, about 25 after we'll start. I do apologize. Need a piece of fruit.
Got an orange back there, you want it?
Huh?
An orange.
They shoot sugar way.
So fruit, sugar, it's bad for you as well.
Orange, well, I'm really
Oh.
well, orange real, sugar real, banana wheel, apple wheel, anything like that. Better sugar. It's it's a natural fruit, but it'll shoot it up, but it'll drop. Like sugar like that sugar cake he made.
Yeah, no.
I had a friend that.
Now see, that's not true. I do want that. I want it, but I just can't have it. You know, he fix the commission, the case. That's all I told her.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, man, I'm you know.
Oh, you a sweet junkie.
Yeah. Well, I'm an addict. Comes that. But you know, I was talking to the God about that. I don't have to eat that stuff.
No, that's good.
But also, if I, you know, there's stuff I have a bunch in here that has blueberry.
Okay.
Big. My wife finds blueberries because when they're normal, I mean when they're natural, they don't know that.
Oh, they're
The
not
big
cool.
ones
Oh, really?
are
Yeah, they don't get long.
but those ones that she gets, oh, those sometimes they have to take
It's
it
all.
Those ones,
Well, that's just like watermelon. I said watermelon. See, that's just white seeds like that. If they don't have any seeds, or the seeds are too white. Oh, I know that. Like the grapes, the seedless grapes. That's the equivalent of saying a seedless man.
yeah, that's great rose.
That's the point. They tell you what they do when they say it's seed.
Yeah.
They telling you what they do.
Good chocolate.
You know it's not a natural grape.
No.
It's not natural.
The grapes are hard because they're small and they're good. And can grapes.
Only so many of them. Give it a handful of them. After that,
Yeah, that makes sense.
really grateful. Let's see.
I need that. Yeah. Yeah, I should have let everybody know I was diabetic because now when I look at something like that, people say, don't you can't eat that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're helping me, you know?
They
And
always
it's true
make
that they're
cake.
helping me, but
I'm glad I put that cake back in the people. They kept talking.
oh yeah, yeah.
It was screaming.
People don't understand that, and that stuff will definitely talk to you.
It was, and I was like, yo, I got some last night. I was terrible. I'm trying to go to bed. I couldn't sleep for about another hour.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I'm not diabetic.
Well, you missed a good chance.
Oh.
I'm gonna talk to my wife about you with your. Well, I was gonna say with your permission, but you ain't gonna know it, so I ain't gonna.
Rigorously honest, but a liar.
She is working. She's working on losing some weight. I'm real proud of her because for years she didn't do much of anything. She doesn't weigh that much, but I don't know how she weighs. I don't know. But
She had the surgery or
no, she's just on a special diet that one of her friends got on. She's lost 13 pounds.
wow.
So, yeah,
That's awesome.
for her, that's a big
It
deal.
is
And she started to exercise. And before we went on the trip, you know, we do a lot of walking and stuff. So she did some exercise and stuff like that so that she could get prepared to walk the trail. And then when we went on the thing, she did a pretty good bit of walking on the trail, all that stuff.
How was it on the trip? How was her anxiety? How did she?
Well, she did well, actually. Much better than I thought. You know, because her anxiety. She did have one issue when we were in Rickwood, above Birmingham, a little place called Warrior, Alabama. We had a storm coming. And it was supposed to have 60-mile-an-hour wind in it. And when you're in a 30-foot trailer,
Right.
60 mile an hour, never had, we prayed about it, went to bed, you know, and never had any rain. We had rain, had a lot of rain, but we never had any wind. And so she was a little nervous about that, but the driving, she was fine. She's taking some new medication. That's not really medication. It's that stuff.
the shots.
It's helping her.
Is she on a special diet?
Yeah, she's on special diet, taking some supplements and stuff like that. All right, so we're back, and we're going to try to get through with this pretty quick. We're into the relapse part of it now. And we talked about that the biggest reason people relapse is that they don't do what they're supposed to do when they get out of treatment. When we get out of treatment, we're supposed to not go back to old people, places, and things. We're supposed to go to an AA group. We're supposed to get a sponsor. We're supposed to do some things. All those things are on our discharge plan, and we're supposed to be doing those things. The fact that we don't do them lends itself to us going back to the use of drugs and alcohol. So we need to be cautious about all of that kind of stuff. Full recovery, just like you said, I think earlier, full recovery is not easy. It is a challenge, but it's possible. It is possible. I can do it. You know, I used to have a sign in my office, and I'm about to put it back up, that says, if you think you can or you think you can't, right, you're right. You know, the Bible tells me that I can do all things. Now, if you read that in context, that was Paul talking about not having money or having money. He said, I have been in situations where I had plenty of money. Y'all ever been there? I've been into some situations where I had a pretty good bit of money. But then I've also been in situations where, you know, I'm wondering how the bills are going to get paid. I'm wondering what my next meal is going to be. And there have been times in my life where I knew that there just wasn't going to be a next meal. Not right now. You know, I'm going to eat again, but it's not going to be today. You know, it's going to be some other time. You know, when I go sell some blood or steal some groceries or something, you know, but it ain't going to be today. But that's what he was talking about. I know how to deal with it here, and I know how to deal with it down there. But that can be put into every part of life. I can do this. I can do this. That's why we talk about it, and it's in our book that, look, I'm not going to say negative things about myself. Negative self-talk will kill you. Negative self-talk will get you right back into the use of drugs and alcohol. So I am always going to use positive self-talk about myself. You know, I'm rich, young, and good looking. And here's the deal. Here's the deal. You know, when people come and ask me, how you doing, Doc? I'm rich, young, and good looking. You know, and here's the deal. Compared to some people, I'm rich. You know, there's a statistic that says that in the United States right now, that most people can't come up with $400 unless they borrow it or sell something. Gotcha.
Now, it's just been a minute. I just want to know, man. You done told me a lot. But where's you good looking at? On the body speak, they look pretty good.
I say that sometimes it's good, but what I didn't hear all of that.
You said you rich and you healthy and you good looking. I want to know your bottom of your feet look pretty good.
Yeah, but
that's what's good looking.
See, somebody told him he was smart, and he thought they meant you need to be a smart addict. And yes, as a matter of fact, if you had the opportunity to look at the bottom of my feet, you would be all excited about it. He won't know if the bottom of my feet are pretty because he's alluding to the fact that the rest of me ain't looking all that good. But look, I'm going to tell you something that you may not know. But see, I shave this every morning. So I know it. I wore my black shirt today because my only other clean shirt is my blue shirt, and I didn't want my blue eyes to pop so much that everybody just couldn't be able to handle it. So I wore the black shirt. So no, the point is, you know, here's the deal. We need to toot our own tutor. You know, you do. It's okay to be humble. God said, look, I want you to be humble. I want you to have God first, other people second, and then you, right? So I'm going to toot your tutor first, but I'm going to be tooting my own tutor too. Because if you don't toot your own tutor, your tutor probably won't get tooted, and you'll be tutorless, right? So you need to. Right? It's okay to be positive about who you are. I am a powerful spiritual man of God. So I'm a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. And, because I'm a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ, He is my God, then I'm a powerful spiritual person. Nothing that I've done, but what He did makes me a powerful spiritual person. So, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So full recovery is a challenge. But look, sometimes life is a challenge. Sometimes we have to man up. Sometimes we have to woman up. It's not going to be that easy. I done walked by that stuff that the chef made sitting on that thing in there. I would walk by there and I've looked at that 15 times. That's a challenge. What my limbic system is saying is, hey, if you pick that whole thing up, that whole pie, cake thing, you pick that whole thing up and toted it to your car, ain't nobody gonna say anything to you. Everybody loves you. Everybody thinks highly of you. You can just walk off with that thing. You can go do it. But if I did, I'd be sitting in my car and I'd eat about half of that thing, and then, like somebody said, y'all find me dead in my car. I'll be done diabetic to get it out. So I'm not going to do that. It's a challenge, but I don't have to do it. I went in there a while ago, and I'm looking at the cake. I asked him where that cake was, and he said it's over there, so I went and looked at it, and it just, that's going to kill me. So what I did do, I took one of the pecans, and I scraped the sugar off of it. What sugar was on it? This one didn't have a lot, and I scraped it off there, and then I ate that thing. I ate the pecan off of there. See, and pecans are good for you. That one probably had a little sugar embedded in it somewhere, so it probably wasn't all that good for you. But it's a challenge.
That's what I was going to get the sugar out.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah.
Playing a dangerous
game. Shouldn't have eaten it at all, but I did.
Was there any pecan left after you got all the sugar out?
That wasn't bad. Look, and it is a challenge, and we need to know that. It takes a full-grown person to get it. This is not an easy thing. This is why I tell people all the time, this ain't a me by myself kind of thing. This is why I need an AA group. This is why I need an NA group. This is why I need some sober support people, and why I need a sponsor. This is why I need other people in my life that's going to be a social support group for me, because without that, I'm not going to be able to do it by myself. Because I'm going to tell you something, your limbic system is going to be lying to you the moment you leave this place. If you don't, it's already talking to you. It's already talking to you. So we need to know that. Relapse rates are similar for drug addiction and other chronic illnesses. Drug addiction, the relapse rate is way up, it's 60%. Type 1 diabetes is up around, that's about 50%. Hypertension, what is hypertension? High blood pressure. That's up around 70%. And asthma is about 71%. These are diseases that we fight with medication and stuff, but they come back on us anyway. So all of these they're up there pretty high, but relapse is up there about the same height. So these are some of the ones that are chronic medical diseases similar to alcohol and drug dependencies. There's similarities to other chronic diseases. Less than 50% take the medications as prescribed. Anybody here have prescribed medication? You take them as prescribed.
Yes.
I take a handful of medications at night. I take some medications in the morning along with a shot. And then I carry an emergency thing that I have to shoot myself with if something happened. But 50% of people don't use their medications correctly. So that makes it hard. We have medications that we can use, and we don't use them correctly, so that makes it hard. Less than 30% of patients comply with prescribed behavioral changes. That means 70% of the people don't do what the doctor says do. Look, What do you think is the number one thing that doctors tell their patients to do? There's two things. What are they?
Exercise.
Exercise. That's number two. Number two. Number one is what? That's number four. That's number three. Stop smoking. Quit it. Stop. That's the number one thing the doctor says is, do you smoke? You know, they'll pick your paper out because they'd ask you on there, do you smoke? Yeah. How many? You know, what kind? When? All of that kind of stuff. And then they'll say, that's the number one thing. Quit smoking. The Surgeon General, remember, said that if we stopped smoking, 98% of our medical issues would go away. If we stopped using tobacco in all of its forms, that would all go away. And then the second thing is, what? Exercise. Move your butt. Move. Walk. Do something. Do something. You know, you got to do something. But less than 30% of people, less than 30%. That means like, you know, 75% of people don't do what the doctor tells them. What we want is a pill to make everything right. I went to my doctor the other day. I went with the eye doctor the other day, and she found a little bit of something in my eye, and she pulled it out, cut it off with a pair of scissors. It was pretty freaky. And now I've got to put these drops in my eyes for antibiotics for a while. But I told her, I said, look, I've got some spots and stuff in front. I want you to give me a pill to make all that better. She said, well, I wish we could do that. You ain't the only one. That's what I want to happen, but that's not going to happen. So most of us are not going to do that. Relapse rates are up to about 60% per year. That means 60% of the people who get through treatment going to relapse within that first year. And the reason is we don't do what our counselors tell us to do. And we'll come back, 6 weeks later. Oh, no, what happened? Somehow I was out there and I was walking along and all of a sudden I relapsed. No, we didn't do. So how much of your treatment plan, how much of your discharge plan did you follow when you left the facility? You want a percentage? Nothing. I didn't do all of that. You know where we find most of the discharge plans? Yeah, circular file of it. I got this. I know what you're talking about, but I know what no, you don't. If you did, you wouldn't be here for the fourth time. Sorry, did I tell y'all I'm in recovery from lying? I'm gonna tell you the truth. Yeah. I know what to do. I know how to stay sober. I've been through this program 5 times. What? You know how to stay sober, but you've been through the program 5 times? Then something ain't computing, is it? So anyway, relapse is up there. Re-emergence of symptoms following discontinuation of treatment. See, when I quit, when I get out of treatment, I made it through treatment, and I get outside, then I have a re-emergence of the symptoms. What's that called? We talked about it. Anybody remember? PAW? Y'all remember what that means? Post-acute withdrawal. Remember what that? You remember that? So when I get out of here, and all of a sudden, what's one of the biggest stress bombs that's going to happen to us? Getting out of treatment. The day I get out of treatment, that's a stress bomb. Guess what happens? In here, you got 4 or 5 people saying, "Hey, you use it. Hey, you got funny looking eyes. You use it. Hey, you too tall. You use it. You use it. What are you sleeping in groove? You use it. You got something hid somewhere around here. You got people doing that. You got people watching. You got people making you pee in a cup, right? You got people saying, okay, look at him. If you do this, okay, but when you leave from here, what you got? Nobody but yourself and 900 friends that you refuse to get rid of because they love you like a brother. And when you go back over there, they're going to want you to start using again. And that PAW is going to hit us. And we're going to think, oh, my God. This feels just like I'm going back through withdrawal again, and this just ain't fair. And what's the best way to get rid of PAW?
Change places.
use your drug. Whatever drug is your drug of choice, if you use it, you'll get rid of PAW. But also, if you wait 8 minutes, that's called surfing the urge. You wait 8 minutes and it's gone. It don't last but 8 minutes. Oh my God. You ought to have 8 minutes. Now, it may come back and it may feel like it's going to last forever, but it's not. And one of the best way, the second best way to get rid of that urge is what? Said it earlier. Exercise. Go exercise. Do some side straddle hops. Do some push-ups. Go lift some weights. Do something, run. Do something, and that will cause your brain to release dopamine into your body and release endorphins into your body, and which will calm you down, get you a little high, and you'll feel great, and it'll take those cravings away. Right? So when we get out of here, we ought to be prepared for that to hit, and then be prepared to do some exercise to get rid of it. Drug addiction is a chronic illness with relapse rates similar to those of hypertension, diabetes, and asthma. So we need to know that it's a possibility for it to come. There's some things that we need to learn about relapse. We need to understand that we do have a continuing vulnerability to it. It's like if you have cancer, I love to see these things on television and stuff where people are ringing the bell at the cancer place down there. They'll ring the bell. Why are they ringing the bell? They've beaten cancer. They beat cancer and they walk out of there. Yeah, got a guy in my church right now who rang the bell. And now he's going through some stuff because cancer came back. Now, we got to know that the stuff comes back, and this stuff that we've got come back. We have this vulnerability. It's going to come back. It's going to come back and try to make you get back in the midst of the disease. That's where our addiction wants us to be. So we need to know that this is a lifelong, somebody said that already, it's a lifelong process. Like you're keeping from being fat. It's a lifelong process. You're not going to be able to go and push a button and let it happen. Relapse can progress fast. It feels really fast. It takes some time, however, for it to catch up with. Now, the last little thing on this I want to show you, and we've taken up most of our time, but I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, but I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. Look, I'm in my recovery. I've been in my recovery for a little while, and it's been good. Been working. I can think back in my using days. There's nothing that I miss. There's nothing that I desire. There's nothing that I want back there. So I'm going to stay in recovery. Thank you. Thank you very much. And there are some things I'm missing. I'm missing that feeling. I don't get to feel like that anymore. I'm missing a bunch of people that I used to hang with. But, I've decided I don't like those people as much as I thought. They don't like me all that much. Now, here's the deal. We're going to talk about relapse for the next few minutes. I'm hoping to hit these, but we may not be able to get them. If we don't, we'll do something about it next week. Relapse prevention is why most people seek treatment. This is 90% of the reason why we come to treatment. Can we get off of the drug by ourselves? No. Sometimes we can. Most of the time, it's a really hard thing to do. But why we seek treatment is I don't want to go back, right? Now, that's people who are seeking treatment because they want to get into recovery. There are a lot of people that seek treatment because the probation officer says if you don't, you're going to prison. Mama says if you don't, you ain't coming back home here. Husband says if you don't, you can't live with me anymore. There are other reasons that people do that. But a lot of people come into here and go through treatment because we don't want to relapse again. By the time most of us seek help, We've already tried to quit on our own, and we're looking for a little bit better solution to the issue, right? Need something different. Because, look, I tried on my own ate a lot. I mean, probably 150,000 times. Probably not that many, but I'm prone to exaggeration. Okay, so there are 4 main ideas in relapse prevention. These are the 4 main ideas that we want to take a look at. First, relapse is a gradual process with distinct stages. The goal of treatment is to help us to recognize the early stages in which we have chances of success are the greatest. If I can realize, if I can understand the early stages of relapse, I have a much better chance of stopping it. If I just wake up one morning and I'm on the pool table in the bar and something happened to me that I didn't have any idea about. But if I can catch it early. Second, recovery is a process. It's a process of personal growth with developmental milestones. Each stage of recovery has its own risk of relapse. We're going to be looking at each one of those. Third, the main tools of relapse prevention. What do you think the main tools of relapse prevention are? The main thing that I need to keep from relapsing. What is it?
The drug of choice. Our drug of choice.
Yeah.
We want to get to it.
Okay. The main tools of relapse prevention is a willingness to participate in your own recovery. I have actually had people tell me, I need you to do something. I can't give you recovery. I don't have recovery in my back pocket. I can't give you a pill so that you can recover. It's all up to you. All I have is tools.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can teach somebody, look, a lot of people are going to trade school now instead of college. I think that may be a good thing. But here's the deal. If I teach you how to be a carpenter, but you don't go out and buy the tools and then start doing the job, are you going to be a carpenter? No, you may know how, but you're not going to do that. So you come in here and we give you tools, but if you don't use them, you ain't going to be able to get where you want to go. So you get the tools here. You don't get recovery here. You get the tools for recovery. So you have to be part of that. You have willingness to participate in your own recovery and awareness of yourself and how you think, which change negative thinking and develop healthy coping skills. Here's the deal. This is why we go from negative self-talk to positive self-talk. Talk good about yourself. There's enough people out there to talk bad about you.
Right.
Yeah. Fourth, most relapses can be explained in terms of a few basic rules. Education in these few rules can help us to focus on what is important. So, the key to relapse prevention, this is the key, it's what we need to understand. The key to relapse prevention is to understand that relapse happens gradually. It doesn't happen, sometimes it feels like it's just like that. That's not true. It happens gradually. It begins weeks, sometimes it begins months, sometimes it even begins years before you actually pick up a drink or pick up a drug. The goal of relapse prevention is to help us to recognize the early warning signs. So relapse happens over a period of recovery, after a period of recovery has occurred. So what did I do? So there are 3 that we're going to look at real quickly. We're going to look at emotional relapse. What is emotional relapse? I'm not using, but I'm in an emotional relapse.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, a lot of people are in emotional relapse right here. Relapse is broken down in terms of 3 stages of relapse: emotional, mental, and physical. During emotional relapse, we're not thinking about using. We don't really have that on our mind right now. We remember our last relapse and we don't want to repeat it. So we're thinking that's a pretty good idea to be thinking about. But our emotions and behaviors are setting us up for relapse way down the road somewhere. Because we're not consciously thinking about it during this stage denial is a big part of emotional relapse. Because emotionally, I'm looking at this thing and I'm beginning to have some things that are making me want to use, but I'm denying that it's happening. I don't want to use it, but I do. I don't want to. I don't want to eat that stinking cake, but I do. Yeah, I do. There are some. These are some of the signs of emotional relapse. Bottling up emotions. I don't want to talk about it. I've had people sitting in my office. Well, yeah, but I don't want to talk. You were angry the other day. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk. I've dealt with that. How have you dealt with it? Let me tell you this: that pushing down anger, pushing down fear, pushing down other emotions is not dealing with your emotion. That's not pulling them out, talking about them, and figuring out what the root cause of that is. Dealing with those emotions. So we're bottling those things up. Another real big one is isolating. Isolating. Have you ever isolated a little bit? Oh yeah. I will tell you this. I was a good isolator. I still am. And you can isolate in this group. I've had tons of people isolate here in the group. They just isolate. You know. So they've gotten by themselves, and you can be by yourself in the midst of a whole bunch of people. You know. Not going to meetings. I've had so many people tell me I don't need that. I don't need AA. I can do it on my own. Let me tell you something. That's a fallacy. That's not true. That's not true. Do you have to go to AA?
You don't have to.
You don't have to. No, you don't have to. You're full grown. You don't have to. But I'm going to tell you what. The statistics are way up there that people who go to a self-help group, doesn't necessarily have to be AA. There's AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery. There's several SOS. You know what SOS is?
Save our sons.
What is it?
Save our sons.
Save our what?
Sons.
Save our sons.
Yeah, we had a group like that in our Baptist church. Save our sons, and we try to incorporate things that fathers should. Sons and
yeah, that's a different program. The SOS we're talking about is sobriety without God. It's sobriety over spirituality. So they don't have any higher power in that. We used to do them out at the prison a lot. We'd have AA. AA was always active. NA was always active. SOS would be active for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and then it'd go away. Because, it has nothing spiritual to hold it together.
What does it stand for now?
It's SOS. It's sobriety over spirituality. They just didn't want to have. There's people who don't want to have anything to do with God, and he's okay. Well, he's not okay with that because he loves everybody. But without him being the linchpin in that, it just didn't work very well. So, not going to meetings, not sharing. If you do go to meetings, you're just going to sit down and not share. And look, that we can extrapolate that into what we're doing here. When you have this afternoon, you're going to have process group, and you're not processing. You're already in that emotional relapse process. So look, I don't want to check. Force yourself. Make yourself. We're not going to make you. We're going to try to lead you to it. Your counselor is going to want to because we know how important it is for you to do that. But you need to step up and make yourself. I'm going to share something. I'm going to talk about my treatment plan. I'm going to do something. So start sharing in group. That's going to help you not to isolate. Focusing on others. Start focusing on others. We look around and say, well, this is how their treatment is working. This is how they're doing. They're doing this, they're doing that. That's emotional relapse. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Your recovery is whose? Yours. Yeah, this is my recovery. This is my recovery. I don't care. Now look, I use that terminology. I am a caring person. But I don't care what you think about me and my recovery. I'm going to do what I need to do to stay in my recovery. So, So focusing on other people's problems, focusing on how other people are affected by them and stuff like that, we don't need to be doing that. If we can help those other people, we need to do that. Another thing, and sometimes we don't realize it, but poor eating and sleeping habits, that's part of that emotional um, relapse. We have started not taking care of ourselves. We have started eating junk, which I watch you guys do all the time. You know, y'all got all kind of crap that y'all eat. Okay. So we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not being serious about taking care of ourselves physically. And once I can get to the place where I'm okay with not taking care of myself physically, when I get out of here knowing that that's going to hurt me, doesn't matter. I'm going to use because I want to use. The common denominator of emotional relapse is poor self-care, which self-care is broadly defined to include emotional, psychological, and physical care. Just not taking care of myself. So, the next thing, we need to be looking at self-care. We need to be taking care of ourselves. What does self-care mean?
Taking care of ourselves. Like,
Taking care of ourselves. So, yeah, brush your teeth. Please do. One of the things, y'all know what, one of the things that we've been taught from way back there is to operate under the HALT thing. What is that? Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Don't let yourself get hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Those are emotional relapse triggers. Don't let yourself get. Look, if you're hungry, what do you do? Eat. Eat. If you're angry, what do you do?
Calm down.
Calm down. Shut up and sit down. Usually, if you'll shut up and sit down, it will not escalate. That's why they tell you count to 10. Do something. If you're lonely, go to a meeting. Go to a meeting. Call a friend or a sponsor. Do something. If you're tired, rest. Rest. Yeah. Go sit down. Have a nice glass of tea. Do something. So, for some people, self-care is as basic as physical self-care, like sleep and like you were talking about, hygiene, healthy diet. Most individuals, self-care is about emotional self-care. We need to be kind to ourselves. We need to give ourselves permission to have some fun that is sober fun. So, trying to get to the next one, but I am not going to. All right, so that's emotional health care, self-care, and we're not going to be able to get to the next one. So what we'll do is we will do this next time we have a relapse thing, I suppose, next week sometime. But look, remember that tomorrow, probably Miss Charnel will be doing the group over here. Somebody else will be doing the group over at North. And I'm going to be over at North before too many longers and pick up the paperwork from over there. Do we have any comments, questions, or snide remarks before we shut out?
I have something I agree with. No, I'm having like I know I just got it yesterday, maybe, but is it normal to feel scared to want to get out?
Yeah. Yes, I had people. I've had people come to me and tell me how frightened they are. It is a little bit of intimidating to go back out there where I am able to get whatever I need, whatever I want. You know, I'm a full-grown man. I can go to the bar anytime I want to. I can do all of that kind of stuff, and it is a little intimidating. This is why I have people that I can call and talk to when I have those issues. You know.
At the end, how this is kind of a hypothetical question. How will I know I'm really, 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 really?
No, well,
I just won't know. I have to act it out, or how will I know?
Well, I'm going to tell you, how do you know that you're really, 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 really ready to get off of the drugs and off of the alcohol and all of that? Well, you know what? We all have different brains, right?
Right.
We all have different personalities. We're all different people. So that question goes across the whole spectrum. We're all different. We're all going to know. But if it comes down to the place for me where my sobriety is more important than you,
Right.
my sobriety is more important than my job. My sobriety is more important than my old friend. My sobriety is the number 2 important thing in my life. It's number 2. You know, when I got to the place where my sobriety was that important, then things like somebody say, well, I thought you were my friend. No, I'm not. You know, I've decided I don't want to be your friend. Because to be your friend, I have to drink. I don't want to be your friend. My number 1 thing is the Lord Jesus Christ. That's it. That's my, I don't care. You know, if Jesus came and said, look, I want you to start drinking again, okay, give me something, you know, but he's not going to do that. So, you know, he's number 1. Number 2 is my sobriety. Number 3 is my wife. Why wouldn't my wife be number 2? Without my sobriety, I wouldn't have her. So, all righty then. I'm going to be over there in a few minutes.